Man, that is a big crowd. And they are not here for me. How you guys doing? Nice vibe this year, right? After the best month we've ever had. Nice to see you all. Thanks for coming out. Good to see you. I'm not going to kill any more time. Let's bring out Elon Musk.
All of you guys too. Thanks, guys.
Have a seat.
So,
that was something.
I am become meme. Yeah, pretty much. I'm living the meme. It's like there's living the dream and there's living the meme, and it's pretty much what's happening, you know.
You're like, I think you're bigger.
I mean, Doge started out as a meme. Think about it. And now it's real. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
But it's cool.
Let me ask you this. A year ago, if someone had told you you'd be at CPAC and working with the president to absolutely shred the government, the swamp, whatever you want to call it, would you have ever believed that?
No.
No? Me neither.
But it's cool. This is awesome. And I just want to say, thanks for your support. I mean, you guys are, So, I mean, we're trying to get good things done, but also, have a good time doing it, and, and have, like, a sense of humor, So, I mean, the left wanted to make comedy illegal, Like, you can't make fun of anything. So then it's like, comedy sucks. It's like, nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like, legalize comedy. Yeah. Legalize comedy.
And we've shifted the entire culture in just the last few months. The whole culture of this country has shifted dramatically just because of that election.
Yeah, exactly. Freedom of speech, having fun again. It seems like we should have a good time, I
mean, it's a great time. Everybody in this place is so excited, and when you talk to conservatives, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And everybody feels this great sense of relief because we were going to hell for about 4 years. It really felt bad, especially toward the end. It felt really bad.
Yeah, I thought we were sort of heading for a point of no return, really.
Yeah.
That's why it was so essential that President Trump win the election, and that there be a Republican majority in the House and Senate, which, thanks to you, that has been accomplished.
Yeah. I want to ask you, one of the biggest questions I have for you is, and you've been, politically, you weren't really on one side or the other for a long time. You're a businessman. A lot of people, they stay away from it. Now you're on a side, and you've chosen a side. You're sitting here in a MAGA hat. What's it, how did that happen? What was the moment?
It's like, dark Gothic MAGA.
That's a good one. What was there a specific moment? Was there a moment that it all changed?
Yeah, when I realized I was a fool. But no, I was, I guess, I'd say I was politically neutral for quite a while. Leaning a little Democrat.
How do you go from that to this?
Yeah, no.
How does that happen?
Well,
did they go crazy?
Yeah, they did go crazy.
Yeah, they went crazy.
No, I mean, that whole cancel culture and it's trying to stop freedom of speech and infringe upon people's personal freedoms. They just want state control of what you say. They want to, take away your guns. And the reason I want to take away your guns, so there's nothing you do to oppose them. So it's sort of like, I just like we just need to restore the fundamental elements of what made America great, which is freedom and opportunity.
We're seeing a lot of these freedoms disappearing in the West. It's not just about America. We're all watching Europe and knowing that they're about 50, 100 years ahead of us, right? Because they got an early start. And we're watching how they're devolving. And you're trying to save it from happening here.
No, I mean, in Europe, they put people in prison for memes.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's insane.
And they're collapsing. I mean, it's a collapsing society. It feels that way.
It feels like
France was nicer 50 years ago than it is today.
Yeah.
I don't think you can question that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, really. Thanks. I love you too.
They do love.
I mean, I really just wanted to do useful things, like basically build products, provide products and services that are good, and that wasn't really like that interested in being political. It just like there was at a certain point no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you on the same side of that coin, what's it like from going neutral to being vilified, largely vilified by the media? Like
what? No. Really?
I mean, you turn on some of these channels, brother. I mean, they're angry at you. Does it bother you at all? Does it get to you? Yeah.
I mean, when they're chanting for my death, I suppose that's a little,
not good.
And then like the song's not even that good, and it's like you call that a death chant? That's nothing. Please.
They've been singing a lot lately.
It's not even good music.
There's a lot of music lately. It's not good music either. Yeah.
Yes.
I would say that watching what you're doing with Doge is just people love it. I mean, I've always looked at the government and. I've always looked at the government. I've seen this big machine and you just know that they waste because they don't care. There's more money coming. They don't care.
Yeah.
You're cutting all this out. Everybody in this country knows that the government is full of waste, fraud, and abuse. And you're doing the work, and the Americans love it. Watching their reaction politically to this, I can't believe how bad they are at responding to this. I don't know how you're going to sit there and scream and complain because they're cutting waste out of the government and try to win another election. How do you try to win on that?
Well, at this point, I'm not sure how much of the left is even real.
Yeah.
How
much was propped up by our money?
Yeah. Like literally, you see like these sort of fake rallies where there's like hardly any people, and the media will like frame it and like get all 6 people in the frame, but there's like nobody else is there. Like just it doesn't have popular support. But then you learn that like there's hundreds of billions of dollars going to these so-called NGOs. And it's your tax dollars that are funding things that are fundamentally anti-American.
And they're propping up their narrative.
Yes.
A lot of that government money has been propping up a left that I don't think is as strong as they made it seem.
In fact, a massive amount of your tax dollars is going to legacy media companies.
Yes.
Directly from the government.
The government wants to take over media.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, that's why we have X.
Yeah, and
that's why you spent $44 billion. I mean, that's a lot of money.
I mean,
more than it was probably worth. But there was a message.
Freedom is priceless.
Priceless. Yeah. Probably one of the most important investments this country's ever seen. If you got to protect the First Amendment, it's not much more important than that.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of criticism, and people said, "Well, that proves he's a huge idiot." From he bought it for whatever, $44 billion, and now it's worth like 8 cents. And
it's not worth 8 cents.
It was essentially to buy freedom of expression,
Once that's gone, it's all over. It's all over.
Yeah,
Descent into tyranny is really quick after that.
Yeah, I mean, like it's all the sort of federal money going to media companies is what helps explain why the legacy media all says the same thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it like it's like weird? Like you put them up where it's like like when
they're mouthpieces for
the state.
For the state.
Yes.
And that's what we've come to know.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And I like that meme where they're because they're always saying like threat to our democracy, but if you just replace democracy with bureaucracy, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Big threat to the bureaucracy.
That's exactly right. Let's talk about these Doge dividend checks that everybody's talking about this week. And I know you tweeted out that you're gonna. Does everybody want like a $5,000 check in the mail? It sounds kind of good, right? And the best part about it would be knowing where it came from. That's $5,000 that you sent them last year.
Totally. It's money that's taken away from things that are destructive to the country and from organizations that hate you to you. That's awesome.
Does it seem, I mean, have you talked to
that's like glorious. That's like
it's the best.
The spoils of battle, you know?
I like that. Is there traction on that?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I talked to the president, and he's supportive of that, and so it sounds like that's something we're going to do.
Yep.
So as we're finding savings, that's going to translate directly to reductions in tax. So
yeah. I think they fired 6,000 people at the IRS today.
Yeah.
And I think Lutnick said last night that they're talking about shutting down the IRS. And I think it's fair. I think people should realize this is, I mean, the amount of money that we send Washington like $5 or $6 trillion a year. That is such an ungodly amount of money. I mean, what do they? They say like 1 trillion seconds is like 30 years or something like that. I mean, that's how much we send them, and they seem to never have enough. There must be a lot you can cut.
No, absolutely. People ask me, what's the most surprising thing that you've encountered when you go to D.C., when you're in D.C.? And I said, well, the most surprising thing is the scale of the expenditures, and actually how easy it is to, when you add caring and competence, where it was absent before, you can actually save billions of dollars, sometimes in an hour.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild.
And then they scoff at it and say, oh, a few billion here, there. I mean, the way they're talking about it, you can see they don't care. It's such little money compared to how much they're used to wasting. That's what's really scary.
Exactly. But obviously, it just shows that they really lack empathy for the average taxpayer who's working hard, paying taxes, and then they say, oh, $1 million doesn't matter. I'm like, I think it matters a lot to people, So what are you talking about?
I'd like to have it. Let me ask you a question. I know the president fairly well, watched him survive 2 assassination attempts. Had the first one not happened, the second one would have gotten him. It was very, because without those extra guys, they would have never seen that gun poking through the fence at the golf course. I saw the crew that you had.
Isn't it like mind-blowing that this has happened? I mean, it just, and what, by the way, why do we still know nothing about that guy in Butler? What's going on? Cash is going to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way,
Confirmed just a couple hours ago, but I saw that the security detail that you had come in is enormous.
Well, it's not that enormous. Maybe it should be bigger. I don't know.
I think you could probably afford it. But I mean, how concerned are you about your safety? Dealing, I mean, you are a wanted man. Are you nervous?
So, look, I'm open to ideas for improving security, I have to tell you. I don't actually have a death wish, I think. It's not that easy. But I have I've had even people like President Bukele from El Salvador who managed to put in prison 100,000 murderous thugs. And he was he called me. He's like, I'm worried about your security. I'm like, you're worried about my security? I'm like, what? Okay. I mean,
talk about guts to do that down there. I mean,
totally.
And survive.
I was like, how did you put all those thugs in prison without dying? Because it seems like that would have been not easy, Well,
there's the president has, one of his top attorneys is now investigating, I guess, Chuck Schumer for threats against SCOTUS, a congressman on the Democrat side, for saying, basically saying we're going to bring a war to you, like a fight to you. I mean, the rhetoric. You guys are screwing with things that are not supposed to be messed with. And
we're fighting the Matrix.
There's a lot of people that really don't want that to happen.
Yeah, we're fighting the Matrix big time here. But it's got to be done.
Yeah. It certainly does. What's going on with? Tell us about Fort Knox. There's Kentucky. It's a military base. It's a ton of gold, tons and tons and tons.
5,000 tons of gold, or
5,000 tons of gold are there in the ground, and this. I mean, it's a very secure thing.
I think we all want to see it.
I'd love to see it.
This is your gold, by the way. It's the public's gold.
Do you think it's not there?
I don't know. But I think
you just want to see it.
Yeah, we want to go see it and just make sure like somebody did spray paint some lead or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, is this real gold? Buy at the bar, you know?
Didn't dent.
But I think, honestly, you know, part of this also is just like, let's have some fun and you know, like I said, all this gold at Fort Knox, it's the public's gold. It's your gold. So like, I think you have like a right to see it.
You want to take a tour?
You know, yeah. I think we should have do a tour. And then the president last night was like, I think he's in favor of it. That would be cool. And then it should be like a live tour. Like you can see what's going on. Open the door. Like what's behind it.
Well, and there's,
you know, I think I'd watch that.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah.
I mean, what does 5,000 tons of gold look
totally.
like?
What does
How
it
big
look
is
like?
that? Is it the size of this?
It's got to be pretty
stage?
big,
I mean,
you know.
It's got to be a lot of
Maybe
gold.
there's some other stuff in there. Like just walk around. Like I don't know. Maybe they got some other stuff in there.
Are you thinking about auditing the Federal Reserve as well, which is obviously
yeah, sure.
Regulates our economy. I imagine you think the waste has got to be everywhere.
Yeah, no, waste is pretty much everywhere. People ask, like, how can you find waste in D.C.? I'm like, look, it's like being in a room, you know, and there's target. The wall, the roofs, and the floor are all targets. So it's like you're gonna close your eyes and go shoot in any direction. you can't miss, you know. So it's pretty wild. Like you just push on things a little bit and you save billions of dollars. Like just a little bit, you know. It's wild.
It's scary, isn't it? It's really
that's why I say it really is underrated. If you add caring and competence, how much things improve.
Yeah.
And you know, and we just find so many totally crazy things, which, you know, we're sharing with the public. We post everything we learn. You know, just you know, so you can see it. You know.
What do you? I mean,
and like it's like, isn't it like it's totally wild? Like we just did like a check the database on Social Security. Like it says how many alive Americans eligible for Social Security are there? And according to the database, it's over 400 million. And we're like, wait a second.
and how many are getting?
How old are they again?
Yeah.
And then like we found like one person in there is like 360 years old. I'm like, what, do they know Ben Franklin or something? I mean, you know, America didn't exist before at that time. Like so
yeah, we were colonies.
You know, maybe it's just me, but I think it's a red flag. I don't know.
But are there indications that that there were checks going to those people or any of those people?
Well, yeah.
That's, I guess, the question, right? I mean, I get the Social Security Administration is dumb, but are they paying these people? Are they that dumb? I don't know.
A bunch of money is going out from the Social Security Administration, and in fact, from all entitlements programs.
$72 billion in waste in like 7 years. That's $10 billion a year.
Well, I think the
fraudulent payments.
The rough estimate from General Government Accountability Office is over $500 billion of fraud a year. $500 billion.
And how long at a time?
Per year.
Per year on Social Security?
No, on
on all government.
On all entitlements.
All entitlements.
All entitlements. Yeah. It sort of actually makes sense when you look at the thing from a top level and say, like, okay, the $7 trillion of spending by the government. What percentage do you think is fraudulent? Okay, exactly. Like a conservative estimate of the $7 trillion would be 10%. Conservative. Probably
a little higher than that, yeah.
Exactly.
Feels like a quarter out of every dollar, right?
But if the fraud's only 10% of $7 trillion, you've got $700 billion of fraud.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's like really easy to take advantage of the federal government. It's very easy.
Very easy. Look at COVID.
Yes.
Everybody got rich during COVID. I mean, look at all these scammers. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It looks like, in terms of the COVID payments, there was something like $200 billion of COVID payment fraud taken by fraudsters out of the country.
Out of the country, yeah.
That's like I think, listen, if there's going to be fraud, it should at least be domestic.
Yeah.
So, you know. But they managed to get $200 billion out of the country. I'm like, what? Didn't we notice that?
Let me ask you, let's do immigration here for a second. You know, there's this move now that Trump's latest thing is that he's going to cut funding any kind of money that ends up in the hands of illegal immigrants. So if you're funding these sanctuary cities and states, that's how they thrive, right? They're paying for these hotels. That's all federal money. If you got a hotel in your city, in New York, you got all these hotels full of migrants, that's not state money. That's the feds are covering that. He's going to cut all that. It's really hard to deport 15 million people. And it seems like the move now is, let's see if we, especially at the rate that we're going, it seems like the move now is, let's make it so that they leave on their own. If there's no longer a dole system for them, if they can't get their hands on hotel rooms and money, they're going to go back, especially if there's no work. Well,
I think it's really important for people to understand that the Biden administration sent any possible money that they could if there was money they could send to facilitate and amplify illegal immigration, they sent it. Okay, they took money from FEMA, meant for helping Americans in distress, and sent that money to luxury hotels for illegal immigrants in New York. That is an outrage. They actually did that. And not only that, even after the president signed an executive order saying it has to stop, the FEMA, the sort of whatever deep state bureaucrats still pressed send on $80 million last week to go to the Roosevelt Hotel in New York and other places last week. And now they're mad that it got stopped, and they're like trying to sue to have it be restored. It's like the gumption is
You think they're creating a new voter class? Would you think that was the goal when they opened up the borders for 4 years? Create a new voter class, get them citizenship, get them in, green cards, vote.
A lot of these things, like, you don't actually have to assume some grand conspiracy. You just need to look at basic incentives.
Who benefits?
So if the incentives, fundamentally, if the probability that an illegal is going to vote Democrat at some point, whether it's cheating, but eventually they can become citizens. But if the probability is like 80-90%, you can just look at California, which is supermajority Dem, and then the incentive is to maximize the number of illegals in the country. That is why the Biden administration was pushing to get in as many illegals as possible and spend every dollar possible to get as many, because every one of them is a customer, every one of them is a voter. And so the whole thing was a giant voter importation scam.
Pretty obvious.
Very obvious. And then moreover, then they actually created the CVP1 voter app thing, where they were, which is like where they would literally fly people in. It's not like like at the point at which people are being flown in at your expense.
Sending planes.
Like building a wall
up,
doesn't
fly
matter.
them over the border.
Yeah, they're literally flying them in.
No other country in the world would do something like this. Nobody is this stupid.
Yeah, and then we found that it was like $100 million contract given to some guy in London, actually, oddly enough, for the CVP1 app. So they're flying illegals into the swing states. And if you've got like a margin of victory of maybe 20,000 people, and you fly 200,000 illegals into that state, it's not going to be a swing state for long.
Change the numbers eventually. Maybe in 4 or 8 years, you're talking about perpetual
It's just a matter
power.
of time.
It's a long game.
It's just a matter of time. So it might take like a year for an asylum seeker or something to get a green card, and then 5 years for the citizenship. It's an investment that is guaranteed to pay off. Just a question of when.
They all remember who brought them in and who left them here.
Exactly.
I want to go back. I want to talk about Biden.
This is a big deal. I think a lot of people don't quite appreciate that this was an actual, real scam at scale to tilt the scales of democracy in America.
It's treasonous.
Treason.
One more Biden question. I remember when they would do the electric car stuff, they would always try to box you out, even though you have the only electric car anybody wants. You said, I think this week, that you think that Biden left these astronauts up in space because he didn't want to give you an opportunity to save them, make NASA look bad, make the private sector look better, make you look good. You believe that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, of course.
I kind of agree. Why would he want to let you help them come down when you're supporting the president?
The Biden administration was attacking me next level. The Department of Justice or injustice under the Biden administration was, they were suing SpaceX. They're suing SpaceX for not hiring asylum seekers. And we're like, but it's actually illegal for us to hire asylum seekers because we're rocket technology is covered under ITAR rules, which means it's an advanced weapons technology.
Yeah.
And so we can only hire permanent residents or or citizens.
Right.
Like, so we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. And we said, like, so how can they sue us for not hiring asylum seekers when it's actually illegal for us to do so?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, there was a big Department of Justice or injustice case about this against SpaceX. So obviously it was an antagonistic situation. And those astronauts were supposed to be up there for 8 days, and now they're up there for 8 months. Does that make any sense? And we obviously could have brought them back sooner, but they didn't want anyone who supported President Trump to look good, basically.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
A lot of them are saying right now that the reason that you want to get into Social Security, that you want to get into all of these different, into Treasury and things like that, is that you're looking for personal information and you're trying to make more money.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody as rich as you that cared less about money in my life. Every time I hear a story about you, you're sleeping on a couch of some other guy in a city that you could buy the entire thing.
Yeah,
I don't think you care about money, do you?
No, actually, no, I mean, listen, like, if I steal some Social Security, I can finally buy nice things.
Yeah.
You know?
And on that same question, they're also talking about you guys are going to end Social Security, you're going to end Medicare, you're going to end these things. I don't imagine that conversation has been had with the president, and that's the plan.
No, in fact, the actions that we're taking with the support of the president and the support of the agencies is what will save Medicare, what will save Social Security.
Yeah.
And because if the country goes insolvent, if all the money is just spent on paying interest on debt, there's no money left for anything.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I'm doing this, is because I was looking at the big picture here, and it's like, man, our debt's getting out of control. The interest payments, the interest on the national debt now exceeds the entire Defense Department budget.
$1 trillion a year in interest, just to carry the money that we owe, is $1 trillion a year.
Yes.
That is unbelievable.
And rising rapidly. So like, I mean, a country is no different from a person. Country overspends, country goes bankrupt. Same as a person who overspends goes bankrupt. So it's not like optional to solve these things. It's essential. So
we're going to go bankrupt.
Yes,
we are. Couple minutes left here. Russia. There's a huge push from the administration.
Yeah. People are like sometimes like
to end this war.
Say like, you know, I'm a bought asset of Putin.
Yeah.
I'm like, he can't afford me.
I think you're worth more than Russia.
Think about it.
I like that. So you're trying to end a war. It's ending a war always means you have to compromise, you have to negotiate with an enemy or an adversary. That's just what it is. And right now, they are lambasting the president for trying a different method to a war that they haven't been able to end for 3.5 years or 3 years.
Yeah.
They're saying Trump's blaming Zelensky for the invasion. How do you process all of the negativity toward him for trying to end this war?
Well, first of all, I think we should have empathy for the people dying at the front lines. That's the most important thing. And people have been dying, you know, it's like, how many more years is this supposed to go on?
Yeah.
And imagine if that was your son, your father, you know, what are they dying for?
Yeah.
What exactly are they dying for? That line the line of engagement has barely moved for 2 years.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people dead in trenches for what? And I'll tell you what for what. It's like for the biggest graft machine that I've ever seen in my life. That's for what. It's unreal. Like the amount of money that is being taken in graft and bribery is disgusting. And so what's actually happening is that those you know, those poor guys are getting sent into a meat grinder for money. That's what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And it needs to stop.
And it seems, I mean, Trump is so pragmatic on this. He's just looking at it and he's saying, it's Ukraine, it's not our country, it's not a NATO ally. I just want to see people not dying. I want to see on both sides. I mean, think about how so many young men have died in Ukraine that the army is starting to age out. The military is aging out. You got 40 and 50-year-old guys fighting in a war because there's nobody left that's not killed or maimed in their 20s.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. Think about how many people that is. If you're a humanitarian at all, you just got to end the war. Like, no matter what. Just get it over with.
Yes, people, they need to stop dying. And the grift machine's got to stop, you know, so, and I think people, that a lot of people out there don't realize, like, the president has a lot of empathy. He really cares, you know. He's a good man. So.
I got one more for you. I've been fascinated by you for a very long time.
Thanks.
I've never seen anybody that can, do so many things at the same time. I mean, you've got the rockets, you got the cars. I've always wanted to ask you, what is it like inside your mind? Like, is it just 1,000 miles an hour? I mean, are you?
Yeah.
Is it just not? I mean, does it ever stop? Do you sleep? How much do you sleep? Paint us a picture of inside of the mind of a genius. Like, how do you do all this? Can you answer that question? It's not an easy question. Yeah.
I mean, my mind is a storm.
Yeah.
So, it's a storm. But I mean, let me maybe tell you something. Like, you didn't ask the question, but I think it's worth kind of nonetheless maybe just elaborating on something, which is, I grew up in South Africa, but my morality was informed by America. I read comic books, played Dungeons and Dragons, and I watched American TV shows, and it seemed like America cared about being the good guys, about doing the right thing, and that's actually pretty unusual, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like
in the world, it's very unusual.
It's not like actually.
Most countries don't do that.
No, they don't.
No.
And so I was like, you want to be this good. You want to be on the side of good. You want to care about what's right, So that's what I believe in. So.
I gave you a tough one at the end.
Yeah. So,
That's great. That's great. Elon Musk.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate it.